Welcome. This is Jordan Buckner with Foodbevy, the online community for food and beverage founders. And today I'm talking with Courtney Boyd-Myers, co-founder and CEO of Akua. So Courtney, welcome on. I'd love to get started with learning more about your product and how you got started.
Well, let's see. I got into food and beverage in 2016. I was turning the corner. I'm 30 years old and decided that I wanted to do something to address climate change. And I grew up in a family where my dad was an amazing food marketer and invented like Chester the Cheeto and Burger King Kids Club. So I understood the big food marketing world pretty well. And I, came at this of thinking, I want to create extremely healthy foods that are healthy for you and me to eat and healthy for the planet too. And that's when I learned about regenerative aquaculture and the growing of kelp in the open ocean. And so I started studying that and working on supply chain. And then a couple years later, launched our first product, kelp jerky by Akua.
Very cool. And so talk to me about some of the challenges in getting started, because we all know running a food company is a breeze.
Oh yeah, if I had known how hard it is to start a food company, I don't think I would have started a food company. If I'm brutally honest with you, I probably would have worked for another food company. I worked for Four Sigmatic for about a year before I started the business, and they were already a team of maybe 15 or 20 people, and I just enjoyed that so much, and it was really fun. But I think as an entrepreneur, you just have the itch to start something no matter what, and so there's no way around it. You got to go through it and you got to do the thing, create it, get it out of your head, get it out of your heart and into the world. So in terms of challenges, I always joke that the hardest part about building a food company is making the food, dealing with co-packers and scaling up and managing your cost of goods and ensuring that the price point is such that your consumer can afford it. Because at the end of the day, if you have this like extremely expensive specialty product, you're not going to create the impact, at least I wasn't going to create the impact that I wanted. So those are really the big challenges out there. I think introducing a new product or a new food like kelp, and which is a seaweed, to people is also challenging, but that's fun because that's a lot of content marketing and storytelling, which is my favorite part of the business.
So a couple things, working for Four Sigmatic, and it was an awesome company with awesome products and various like mushroom elixirs and coffees and such. Tell me about some of the things that you learned during your time working with there that you've been able to apply to your business.
Yeah, I just had such a blast. I love this company so much. Four Sigmatic is like, I drink it every morning. I am totally hooked. I learned so much about the amazing wild world of like the fungi kingdom and all the health benefits of eating mushrooms like lion's mane and cordyceps for our personal health. So obviously when you're introducing the algae kingdom to the American audience, I learned a lot about, the fungi kingdom and the algae kingdom. They're separate from plant and animal, and there's so much to learn. And I don't know why this isn't something that like we're more familiar with growing up. I think that 5 years ago, most people didn't know the difference between a white button mushroom and a shiitake. It was just mushrooms. And now we're getting, really into mushrooms as a food culture. And I think sea greens, which is what I like to call seaweed, is going to follow a similar wave, where right now we're just like general seaweed. It's like the stuff that's washing up on the beaches in Florida and causing tourism to go down. Oh, it's the thing that gets caught around my surfboard when I'm surfing in California. And you're like, well, no, actually, those are two different types of brown macroalgae. And so, getting through this sort of educational journey, there's little things that I've learned, like at Four Sigmatic, they have the fun guy, the little mushroom figure. So we created the otter, and that's like our version of like the Annie's bunny. And I think you do need something fun and accessible that people can, latch onto as they're being educated. And then I think the last thing is just, the importance of kind of building your online community. So through email marketing and Instagram and Facebook, Four Sigmatic has an incredible mushroom Facebook group. And so we did the same. We did a kelp Facebook group. And that's been, we're not selling into that group. We're just educating people and sharing links about seaweed constantly.
So education, and when I hear that in the food business world, I hear money, right? It's very expensive to educate consumers. And so I know you have an awesome following on, I love the Facebook group idea, by the way. I know you have an awesome following on Instagram, just north of 12,000. And so talk about like how you've been able to build the audience and then also educate them along the way and some of like the practical tools that you've been able to do for that?
Yeah. So this is just like the one thing I'm talented at in the world. And it's only because I'm not even talented at it. I just have background in it. But before I ran Akua, I ran an agency called Audience. And all I did is I worked with 25 brands over 2 years, helping them to build their audience, which means their community, brand partnerships, customers, etc. And so this is the part at Akua that, I have a little bit of an unfair advantage because that's my background. So we, first didn't have much money to spend. So we didn't start Facebook ads and Instagram ads until a year after we were in business. So during that year, we were more utilizing word of mouth, earned media, grassroots marketing. We worked with a ton of awesome influencers who we didn't pay any of them. They just loved the product, posted about it. We'd send them free snacks. We did a lot of, events. So something that I really miss is just being in front of potential customers at a table. Food Tech Connect is such an awesome marketing community as a food brand. You're getting in front of, really early adopters in the food space who are just so passionate about pushing this industry forward. So, those were all a big part of our marketing stack as we were getting started.
So talk to me a little bit about how your business has coped this year. I know every brand I talk to, like January, February were like some of the best months for a lot of businesses. And then like March hit and some brands did even better and other brands are still had to pivot through kind of COVID and the pandemic. So talk about Akua and how you transitioned during this time.
Yeah, I mean, we really, COVID was good to us in many ways. And we're now starting to feel the impacts of COVID, which I'll get into. But, January and February were really tough months for us. We were moving co-packers for the fourth time. And so in this new co-packer, it took a little bit of time to get set up, but we were pretty set up by March 1st, heading out to Anaheim with our tiki bar booth. Like, we were going in there whether no one was coming, right? Because we didn't have the money to like pull out. Anyway, glad they canceled it for that reason, because we did get our money back and we did get a grant also from them. Anywho, so we started insane amount of growth in March, and we wanted to capitalize on the fact that like a lot of the people were pulling from Facebook advertising, so the prices were dropping. So we started advertising for the first time in April. And from February to March, we doubled in sales. March to April, we doubled in sales. April to May, we almost doubled in sales, but a bit less. And then now we're seeing this like 25% month over month growth that like we always wanted and never had, because we just had all these crazy co-packer issues. So COVID really set us up on that kind of great platform. And then where we finally got kicked in the butt was we started growing so quickly, and the manufacturer had a new rule where instead of 20 people that could be in a room prior, they started, Maine specifically where we manufacture, started really cracking down. And now they only let 6 people be in a room at a time, which means that production gets cut significantly. And so they've built us our own dedicated seaweed room, but that's taken a month to build because no one's allowed in the building other than full-time employees. So getting electricians in, and it's just been really stop and go. July, we had a sales dip because we just ran out of product again. So all COVID related, but we'll get through it. We'll have our own dedicated seaweed room, and then hopefully supply will no longer be a problem.
I love that. So that's amazing that you were able to grow so well during this time and through like Facebook ads, which I think is great. A lot of brands that I talk to, honestly, and even from some of my experience, like put money into Facebook ads and end up losing more money than they actually gain. So what have you kind of learned to be successful in terms of like really finding your audience and crafting that message so that they're coming in to buying your products?
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons that we were so nervous to start Facebook ads is because it is gambling a lot of money in hopes that you have this return. And I had never really run Facebook ads for a brand before. The one woman who works on our marketing team, she hadn't either. So we actually hired an agency for 1 month to come in and just set it up for us. And then after they left, we could go in and then we had everything set up. So then we could tinker with copy and content and different audiences. And we actually like improved our ads from what that agency did, like by 50%, because we know what content copy is going to resonate like that. We live, eat, and breathe this. So it's been great. And then we bought a Skillshare account for our one employee, and she's just like intrepid and went on and just learned Facebook ads. And, we're on calls every 2 days, just monitoring everything. And I'm learning too. So yeah, we've figured it out.
That's amazing. So that's really cool. I love the kind of agility that you have and being able to like turn and pivot and like jump in and learn stuff, because I think that's insanely, what causes founders to be successful is like seeing new challenges and just doing everything you can to learn about it. So that's amazing.
Hopefully.
And yeah, hope that, growth and by 25-50% continues. I guess, like, where are you forecasting them for your plan in the next 6 to 12 months? Are you going to be focusing on purely like e-com? Are you looking to grow into more retail? Like, where are you focused?
Right. So I've always been scared to death of retail. I'm just like, when something becomes out of my control from a sales perspective, I hate that feeling. Like, I can't be there selling every bag that's on shelf in over 50 stores right now, and that drives me nuts. But I can be there in the back of my website tinkering and changing copy and talking about the product to every customer that comes through. So I love selling D2C. And when we look at the kelp jerky trajectory, we will be a mostly direct to consumer business with this, we hope, forever. We work with a distributor in LA and SF, and they're called Pod Foods. They're awesome. And we sell, to any of the stores that pick us up through there. We don't have to do a ton of pushing. Like with UNFI, they're like, cool, figure out how you can move 50 cases a week through this one, warehouse. And you're like, what? Like, you're not going to help me at all? And Pod does help. And there's like a lot of the visibility on their platform that we get a lot of new stores from them. So we love that. So we'll stay in retail with Pod. But big sort of next thing for Akua is we're releasing our kelp burger this fall. And that's a frozen product. And as you might know, it's expensive to ship things frozen. So we're going to definitely move into retail in partnership with our distributor, who also makes the burgers. He's manufacturer / distributor, and they'll be helping us with retail. And, we'll figure out that whole omni-channel game with the burger.
That's really cool. Is that a company that was already tinkering with kelp burgers and you're kind of coming in from like, hey, I know how to market this stuff and get it out there, or is it a new product for them?
It's a totally new product for them. So they have, an $800 million a year center of plate meat business, and they don't have one vegan product. And they're really excited about seaweed. And so we've come up with the recipe. My co-founder does all the R&D, and we've presented this burger to them. And they'll be helping us with the launch into Costco.com and Costco, followed by Kroger and Publix, at which point, they're going to be really holding our hands through all this, because they have a cold chain truck that comes to the facility every day and picks it up. And so the logistics are, I think, a lot easier than if we were doing this on our own.
That's awesome. And then kind of switching gears a little bit, I know you've been kind of rocking in terms of the past year. Do you have any asks for the larger food community in areas that you would like help with or assist in any way?
I mean, we are fundraising for our burger. It's really important that we get a little bit of cash in the door to fund this next product, or else, I think, like you said, education is expensive. And so that's really been, we've spent a lot of money figuring out manufacturing and supply chain. And now we're kind of moving into this stage where we need to have a little bit more capital to just, really sell these products through with content. And what I mean by that is great packaging, great photography, videos, being able to pay for more ads, etc.
Definitely. So I think that'll be a great ask for our community, because I know there'll be a number of investors seeing this as well. And then if you could give one piece of advice to another founder for an emerging brand based on your experience, what would you tell them?
There's two kinds of founders that I've seen out there and met behind booths. There's crazy people like me that think they can create something new and get everyone excited about it. It's something that never existed before. So they're just making it up as they, go along, or building the plane as they fall out of the sky. And then there's founders who see something that's not really working well, and they just out operate the existing party. They're like, I'm going to make a better ginger shot, or I'm going to make a better energy bar, or I'm going to, do a better sustainable fish company. And so I think it just really depends on the type of founder that you are and you're doing it. I think there's totally a lot of risks involved in creating something new, but also there's just a lot of risks involved in entrepreneurship. And if you don't have that passion to bring something to life that's never existed before, and you're the only person that can do it, I think that the journey can be a lot tougher mentally. I would also say that picking your co-founder is so important. My co-founder and I could not be more different. And we've spent a lot of time building this company, figuring out how to communicate with each other. And we've done the work, and we've had coaches, and we've had astrology readings, it's like all over, and we truly love each other, and we're both really good people, but we just communicate differently. And we've had to do a hell of a lot of work to make that work. And I think that I would, you're marrying someone, right? Like, you're in this for the same amount of time, if not more, than you are with your romantic partner. So to take those decisions really seriously.
I love that advice and completely echo it. It's so true. Courtney Boyd-Myers, thanks so much for being on today, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.